then it doesn't matter how much you train. They are trained when they're dealing with white suspects, and all of a sudden they're untrained when they're dealing with black suspects. Because I can't control the way you think about me, but I can control you knowing what the consequences are for you taking action about the way you think about me. Get it wrong, it's my song. You can go and sing your song. My song, and stay strong, cause I believe in my song. You can sing along, but it's my song. Hi, welcome to Chrissy be Talking. I am back. I had a long hiatus. I traveled from LA to Houston and back, then back to Houston, then back to LA. But so I took a hiatus, and during my hiatus I had to think, well, what do I want to do with my YouTube space? And I started just watching a lot of YouTube. I always did watch YouTube. I watch it all the time. I watch YouTube more than I watch regular TV. So I was watching and I looked and I was thinking, oh, well, what do my favorite YouTube people do? And I'll get into that later about like my favorites and what they do. But one of the things that brought me back, and it just propelled me to post again, is that last night I saw a black man get shot by police 7 times. And it happened for me last night. Like, I saw it last night. So I'm sure I haven't come on the TV today or gone to the internet today to see what all is everybody saying about it. The thing that I want to say about it before I hear what anybody else is saying, I know that people are going to have the same responses that I have. But then, of course, there's going to be people who are like, why didn't he stop? He should have listened. And I agree. Okay, well, first let me say what happened. So basically, a man named Jacob Black, actually, you know what? Like, one of the things my favorite YouTubers do is they actually, like, they'll have the story. And so that's what makes it good. So actually, I'm going to take time and I'm going to pull up the story. So I'm not just talking about something. Not that there's anything wrong with talking about something. Clearly, that's why I'm here. But I don't have to, because I have the internet. The internet. So now, okay, so Wisconsin. Wow. My friend is in Wisconsin right now. So one of my friends is in Wisconsin right now registering people to vote. And I haven't called him. He's a black man. Okay, so basically it says a black man was hospitalized in serious condition after police shot him several times in the back as he opened the door of a parked vehicle in Kenosha, Wisconsin. The graphic video of the shooting emerged on social media late Sunday, sparking angry protests that prompted the city to declare an emergency curfew. The man was later identified as Jacob Blake, 29, according to Governor Tony Evers, who said Blake was shot in the back multiple times in broad daylight. While we do not have all of the details yet, what we know for certain is that he is not the first black man or person to have been shot or injured or mercilessly killed at the hands of individuals in law enforcement in our country, Evers said in a statement. Wait, who is Evers? Evers is the governor. And it's like, okay, thank you, governor. So you know, because you basically, who am I reading? I just pulled up the first thing I'm reading is CBS News. So the first thing I pulled out was CBS News, and that was a quote from the governor, Tony Evers, and he tells us, oh, well, we know it's not the first time, so you know it's not the first time, but what has been done? And that's what I want to talk about in this video, because I know everybody's going to have the same thing. Let me finish the article. The shooting, which is now under investigation by the Wisconsin Department of Justice, occurred around 5 p.m. Sunday when officers responded to calls of a domestic incident. Video shows Blake walking away from officers who were pointing their weapons at him. He approaches an SUV, opens the driver's side door when an officer grabs his shirt and then fires at least 7 shots into Blake's back. Officers provided medical aid to Blake. Well, yay. Good for them. Okay, credit where credit is due. Yay. They gave him emergency aid after you shot him. Or we could have grabbed his shirt, and since there were about 7 cops there, y'all like to tackle, magical black people. Well, let me finish before I get, okay. Blah, blah, blah. The shooting comes amid nationwide outrage over fatal police shootings of black Americans. Protests across the country have pushed for policing reform following the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis police custody. Attorney Benjamin Crump, a prominent civil rights lawyer returning by Blake's family, said Blake's 3 children were inside of the SUV where their father was shot by police. Crump said Blake was attempting to de-escalate a fight between 2 other people when officers arrived at the scene, drew their weapons, and tased him. We will seek justice for Jacob Blake and for his family as we demand answers from the Kenosha Police Department, Crump said in the statement. It's funny because it's like seeking justice. I guess justice is having the people who did it put behind bars, or I don't know, something monetary, but like it's hard because once someone is gone, they're gone. So like if it's my family, justice would be it not happening. And what I feel bad for is people who have close family members where this has happened and they don't see justice, because like it's like reliving it. It's like opening a wound over and over. But that's not the part I'm going to talk about. I know he's got kids and a girl. I never had a problem with him. I always sees him every day, one neighbor said. He parked right behind me on the street. Kenosha County on Monday implemented a second straight night of curfew for residents. Governor Evers also authorized the National Guard to support local law enforcement in an effort to protect critical infrastructure and maintain public safety. So protect the buildings, don't worry about the people. I know folks across our state will be making their voices heard in Kenosha and in communities across Wisconsin, Evers said in a statement. Every person should be able to express their anger and frustration by exercising their First Amendment rights and report on these calls to action without any fear of being unsafe. So, I mean, that's a good thing to say, and hopefully he means it, and hopefully this, since it happened in his state, that he will do something about it, and it will be like swift justice, as opposed to every other governor who says how sad they feel and how they know these things happen, but that's it, because they don't say anything. Like, it's no point. So anyway, I read that, and that's just happened last night. My issue with this, that I don't think other people are saying. So here's the deal. I know everybody's going to say, oh, this is bad. Oh, whoa, they keep killing us over and over. That's what everybody says. And then I also know that people are going to say, he should have stopped. What if he was white? That's the part that I think that I never hear people talk about. Like, I always hear, oh, people are like, defund the police. And then other people are like, they need training. And you can't train for racism. You can. I think that discipline trains for racism. Because, again, if you know that you're going to lose your job if you are racist and not have a way to feed your family if you're racist, or if the city is going to lose funding if you're racist, then for some reason the racism goes away, like with public schools. However, or let's say, I don't want to say it goes away. It does not go away. You're able to control it. teachers are able to rein in their racism, some. Overall, I'll say overall, there's always going to be an exception to the rule. But overall, when money is involved, people are able to rein in their biases. But, of course, other people are like, so some people are like defund, and some people say, well, they just need training. And it's like, well, be very specific. They need racism training. Because if the person was not Black, the person would not be dead. And like, we just have to admit this. Some people just, it is maddening. Like Twitter is like my community. I have like a gang of Twitter, like a whole gang. We bang on people. It's a Twitter gang, right? Like if I see the Rose, I'm like, hey, that's my peeps. They're part of my set. So on Twitter, I also get into these Twitter battles. I call them twaddles. Get into these Twitter battles. And so one Twitter battle that I literally have been in, I think, for a week. Like on Twitter, I may even talk about this again later. On Twitter, I will go back and forth until I get bored, blocked, or busy. Bored, blocked, or busy. I am going back and forth with you until I get bored, blocked, or busy. I call it the BBB. But anyway, so on Twitter, I'm always going back and forth with people. Like I just won't let it go until I get bored or blocked, right? Or busy. So one of my twaddles I was in was because somebody put up this video of these cops they were kicking in the door of a house, right? It was a white neighborhood. This guy asked so many times, he's like, what's going on? What's going on? He's asking the cop what's going on. And my thought was, well, can you wait to ask what's going on? Because if the cops are trying to get into the house, wait until later. Because, you don't know what's going on. They do. You want to make the assumption. I'm going to make the assumption that the cops know more than I know. So if they're trying to get into the house, my thought process should be, hey, let them do their job. But of course, because of all of the negative things that we see about officers now, I can't understand how you're like, they don't know what they're doing. But I think that's a dangerous mindset. So anyway, in that video, the cops are trying to get into this house. This guy who says he lives in the house is like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? The cops are like ignoring him, trying to get into the house. All these other things happen, and people are like, oh, this is horrible. Oh, this is horrible. And I do think it's horrible. However, I don't think it's brutality. I don't think there's any implicit bias. I think it's very reasonable for these cops to, if they get a call about a house, even if they're at the wrong house, they still have a belief that something bad is going on in that house. They didn't shoot anybody. They did end up tasing some guy because he didn't open the door, but my logic would lead me to believe they thought the guy was a suspect, right? Because they got called to the house, or whatever happened. But it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to do this because you are less than me and I think you're stronger or whatever, I'm afraid. And that's okay. It's like you can get your door fixed. You can't get your life fixed. And so my number one point is I cannot stand when people say that they just need training, because they have training when they are... Yes. Mm-hmm.
Can you look at your email, please?
Okay. For your teacher?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Looking at my email. Hold on. What is it going to be in it? This is why I edit so many of my videos, but I am going to try to move away from editing unless I have... What do you mean? I looked at my email. I've responded to this email. Oh, Oh, his teacher probably told him to tell me to tell his teacher probably said, everybody tell your parents to look in your email. And of course, he's just taking that to be like, oh, do it right away. Okay. Okay. So back to what I was saying. The thing is that it's not training, because the police officers are able to bring in white people easily. So it's not training. If the guy was of a different color, if there's a black person who's going to get murdered and a white person doesn't get murdered in the same situation, and that's the issue, then it doesn't matter how much you train. They are trained when they're dealing with white suspects, and all of a sudden they're untrained when they're dealing with black suspects. And that is sort of another issue that I don't hear people talking about. I'm going into something else right now. I remember back like a couple months ago when Nick Cannon, he got fired because he said that black people our melanin made us, gave us empathy. And, he got fired and all this. And I do listen to some black nationalists. I don't agree with a lot of what they say, but some things I do agree with. I don't agree with like the superiority part. I think that really we are equal. But I do think that like that whole black nationalist mindset where it's like our melanin makes us special and it makes us powerful and it gives us empathy, that whole mindset is the flip side. That mindset is the flip side of why black people get murdered by cops. And, why black women get, medicine less or die in hospitals more, because they have this myth that we can take more pain than regular people, or our black women can take more, see? Did you see what I just said? I said regular people, as if black people are black and then everybody else is regular. Like, I just did it and I'm black. That is the mindset that has to change. That is the implicit bias that gets someone shot. If you can pull his shirt, darn it, if you can pull his shirt, then you can contain him. But I think that white people, and even us to an extent, think that our black skin, for some reason, really does make us magical. Like, it makes us magical, it makes us dangerous, it makes us strong. Like, I used to love the term black girl magic, but now when things like this happen, I'm like, can we just be black girl living? Can we just live? Can we just love? Like, we don't have to be magical. Like, I saw this one of my YouTubers that I really like. I think her name is like Nappy Headed Hoe or something. But she's very intelligent. So it's interesting that she has that YouTube name. But anyway, she said, can we just live? Like, that's what we want to do. Just leave us alone. That's what we want. Leave us alone. Treat us regular. Because the training is treat us regular. If it was a white person, and that's why when people say, oh, well, he should have stopped, that's why it's dumb. Because it's unequal. Because if it's a white person and they resist arrest, they go to jail, they get booked, they don't get murdered or shot 7 times. If it's a black guy, his magical black skin obviously makes him impervious to being arrested without being shot. And that is false. Like, we are not magical, we are not stronger, our skin is not bulletproof. When I will keep going back to that Mike Brown report, when I read that report about that cop lying his ass off, saying that Mike Brown ran to him, and the way he animalistically described it was as if he was like this animal who was running towards him. It was like, you don't think black people are human, and you can't train that away. How do you train that away? That has to be something that you have to discipline away, where there has to be something in place, because I can't control the way you think about me, but I can control you knowing what the consequences are for you taking action about the way you think about me. And so when I see, you know, this guy, and I know it's going to come out like, oh, he has felonies. I don't care if he has felonies. Lots of people have felonies. That doesn't mean that they get shot 7 times. So anyway, people are going to talk all this schmick-schmack about how he should have stopped. Yeah, he should have. I agree. He should have stopped. But he didn't. And they should have arrested him in a humane way, the way they would arrest any white person who was doing the same thing. And therein lies why people are protesting. And so anyway, back to that video, when people, the video I'm talking about, where you saw the cops like tase the guy and kick the door, and it's like, and they're just doing it because they thought there was a threat. Don't. You cannot try to make those two things the same and say they need training. They don't. They don't. Black people would love to be treated that way. Black people would love for somebody to kick in your door and then they get to go and complain about the cop later, instead of someone kicking in your door and shooting you because your black skin makes you magical and strong and impervious to arrest. And it's so scary, your scary black skin. Your magical black skin. We're not magical. Stop. Like, I get it. I understand black girl magic. I understand it. I get where it comes from. I get the heart, because you're like, we get criticized so much that you want to do something to be like, hey, let's uplift us as black women. But I'm done with magic. We just want to live. Can we live? Can we live? Can we love? Can we kiss? I saw one of my other favorite YouTubers who like screams at this channel, screams at this, camera. I watched something of hers the other day, and she said, she's talking about TV, black women on TV, and she was like, we want to kiss, we want to love. Like, we are human beings, and that you cannot train away, but you can do something where people, cops, police officers are afraid, because in the back of their minds, they know that if I let my racism and my bias come through, then I'm going to lose something. Right now, they don't lose anything. You don't lose anything when they kill a black person. If you kill a white person, you lose something. You lose your reputation. You're going to lose your job. You might end up in jail. They might sue you civilly. You kill a black person, and they've known this for years, you don't lose anything. And so governors, legislators, all of you talking about, oh, how bad it is, thoughts and prayers. This is what we need. We need them to lose something when they kill somebody. Like Cardi B, you gotta love her, because she puts things in a very plain way. If I kill somebody, I'm going to jail. I don't get to kill somebody. I wouldn't want to kill anybody. But if I did, I'm going to jail. And so I get it. I'm not anti-cop. I'm not going to go into all cops aren't bad, because I do think that when they get into the system around each other, I think I'm in a sorority. So I know groupthink. So you're not going to pull it over on me. I know, because I know all day, every day. Listen, I'm probably going to vote for Kamala Harris, though I don't agree with her policies, because she's in my sorority. So I know groupthink. So you're not going to tell me this all cops aren't bad. It's not that they're bad. It's that they're in a system of people who have these same thoughts. And when you buck the system, even if it's for right, you don't get positive reinforcement. You get reinforcement like, oh, you're messing with the system. We're going to demote you. We're going to fire you. We don't want you. You get teased. All these things. That's how this group thinks work. It's like a fraternity, just like how my sorority is, just like how I'm so, from the stuff that I went through joining my sorority, I'm not going to not vote for Kamala Harris because we're in the same sorority. I don't know her, but we're in the same organization, just like police officers. And so the thing that has to be done is, you lawmakers, you have got to give them a penalty when they kill us. Give them a penalty when they kill us, and they will stop killing us. That's not that hard. Like, it's just not that hard. Give them a penalty. You think people are going to stop being police? No, they're going to stop killing us, because in the back of their mind, they're going to think, I can grab his shirt or shoot him. I think I'm just going to grab his shirt and take him in, because I don't want to lose my job, lose my family, lose my reputation, end up in jail. Right now, they do not have that fear. Okay, that's it for that, unless I think of something else. So annoying.
It is foreseeable that these things are going to happen if you continue to engage in racism and discrimination in your policies and practices.
It's my song. You can go and sing your song.